So hi, tonight we're at City Council for a live charter review meeting. We're going to record this and then make it available later to people who want to see it. I hope you enjoy this experience. Very important. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. All right.
We all ready to go? 6 o'clock? Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Our meeting of our Charter Review Committee for today, Monday, September the 22nd, 2025. And I'd ask if you'd all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone this evening. We'll call the roll.
Chair O'Brien.
Here.
Vice Chair Petrano.
Here.
Committee Member Marrero. Committee Member Martin.
Here.
Committee Member Miller.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is to approve the minutes of our August 25th, 2025 committee meeting. Entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin?
I did have a point where there's one correction that I gave to Kaylee. The word "to" is superfluous and should be removed. So I've given that to her.
Okay, we got that? Clerk? All right, so if that's the case, we want to have a modification of the minutes with the correction. Can we get that motion?
We can have a modification to the minutes according to committee member Martin's recommendation.
Second on that?
Second.
All right, call approval of the minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passed. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item D, which is charter review, but Mr. Martin asked for a minute or two to address the committee, so please, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. I just want to apologize to the committee if I have stepped on anybody's toes by going to the city council with my concerns about the schedule of the meeting. I could not speak to the rest of you because of the sunshine law, and so I did what I thought best for the committee was to go in and try to make sure that we had the schedule accelerated so we'd give ourselves enough time to do a proper and thorough job. So if I have offended anybody, I didn't mean to. I don't want to be a lone ranger. I want to be one of 5 people who discuss this and prove this, so just want to make sure I didn't ruffle anybody's feathers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Appreciate your candor. All right, so we'll move on to the start of the charter review, and I think we're going to bring you up, Mr. Martin, and we'll let you start facilitating. That's what it says your role is, facilitating, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yes, non-moderator, please.
Okay.
This is working on my end, but I'm not up yet. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all had a nice couple weeks and enjoyed this cooler weather. So it's been brought to my attention that some of you already have stuff that you would like to see incorporated into the charter review that extends beyond the current charter. One way that I think is an expedient but thorough way of going through it is to place the charter pieces and think of them as buckets. So any changes that you think need to be done, we just put them in the bucket for the meeting that we go over that type of, with the elections or the charter offices. General provisions is rather long. So you all, does that make sense? Mr. Martin, you said that you had...
Oh, I have lots of stuff.
Can you see placing them in buckets or making new buckets?
In addition to, I think, 8 of the 9 articles, I also would like to introduce a preamble to the charter. which speaks to the determination of why the citizens have created the charter. And I also have a Citizens Bill of Rights I'd like to add. I would assume both of those would go before Article 1.
Anyone else? That wouldn't fall within any of these existing buckets? Does anyone else have specific changes that you'd like to say, like the larger ones, not the minutia? Like you're happy with the form of government, municipal powers?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I'm not trying to write a charter, but I have some ideas on how the charter would be improved vastly. And so, like I said, with the exception, I think, of Article 7, which I don't have any particular changes to. Yeah. Although, obviously I haven't spoken to the from everything, I will have. But I have, like I said, I have a preamble, a Citizens Bill of Rights, and then I have amendments or revisions to every other article.
Mr. Chairman. Dr. Dumont, a lot of the items that I have in particular really just go as we start to review each of the charter amendments themselves. So I'm good with just putting, as we hit that item, that I discuss my points for now. I don't think I need to put any in a bucket.
Okay, that's how it normally would work, is that we have the regular things, and then if the town hall meetings, something new pops up that falls outside of these buckets, I present that as a new bucket, something that we might want to have another article added.
From my point of view, it's all good for us to have the discussion, but I don't want us to put the cart before the horse, because we have to have these town hall meetings, because how can we react? We need to know what the citizens are thinking and suggestions they have as well, and get feedback out of it, so that all needs to be incorporated. So we can go through and talk about these things, based on how you want to run the agenda, but the fact is we also need to get the input. That's what we're, I believe, empowered to do here, is to make sure that we have those public hearings.
Correct, Mr. O'Brien, and that was, the original thought was having the meeting meetings after the town hall meetings, but if there are things that you think that rise to the level that we should start it now, I would appreciate if you just send that to me so I can at least review it and get it up on the screen so people can see what they're going to be discussing. I haven't received anything to date.
And then, I apologize, but I understand Mr. Martin's point. There's a lot, from his perspective, he wants to get a lot on the table, so can't do that in a quick manner. We need to have the time available to do that, so I get that. So somehow we have to balance all of those things.
Right, and that's how it ends up being a lot of times, is the balance. And I usually finish them a little bit earlier than expected. Once you, having a framework on how to approach the review really helps to expedite the process, so people aren't just talking about this section and jumping to another section, so it organizes it and it places it into a lot of context. So those who are talking about that specific issue can really go down deep in that issue, because you're not jumping and thinking about Article 5 or 7. So that's why I like to go just deep into per issue. If you want to do any other changes, that's fine with me.
Doctor, I love Mike going through this whole thing, and he told me how he came about doing it, but
He didn't discuss it.
no,
He told you
he just informed me that this is from an old time. I'm quickly reviewing Mike, and great job, but will you, as we go along, for instance, I see a couple things in his Bill of Rights that probably belong in one of our buckets. Will you please stop us and say, because I'm sure you're probably more on top of this than we are, we're trying, but I would appreciate that.
Absolutely, that's what, and if anybody else has other changes that you'd like, just send them to me so I can make sure before we get here that we can have it up and everybody can see what we're talking about, we're discussing. One of the things how I start is when you say that we want to see change to X, the first question needs to be, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And it's only by trying to identify that problem that we'll know if the solution that you're proposing is directly connected to that, or perhaps it's a better one.
Dr. Newman, I agree with it's a rational, logical way to do it, to start at the beginning and go through everything. And I think that as the community meetings go on, if somebody does bring up something, it's not a problem to go back and revisit the particular section if we've already gone past it, to go back and just revisit it for that one or two or however many ideas that we think are good ideas. But I think it's the only logical way to go through it. There's no point jumping around. We got to do this rationally so we know what we covered, we know what we have to get to go through.
There's no doubt we're going to have to go back. We're going to have 4 meetings, and I'm going to have another suggestion later on. Plus, when we get through this, I don't know about you guys, but I start reading what I've written or even suggesting, everybody says, oh, that's good, and then I go, maybe not. So I think it's a great idea, Mike, that we go back and readdress some of them as we see fit. And you can whip us when we don't do the right thing.
All right, let's go.
All right, well, I don't have the Bill of Rights.
Okay.
I did, yes.
I don't have that, so I can't put it up on the screen for people to see it.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that because we need to make sure we get this in the public record too, and because the public needs to be able to react to that.
Sorry, I gave it to Kayla already, so she does have it.
The preamble and the Bill of Rights is an addition to Mike's offering. I was wondering for tonight, if he's in agreement, we take this so we can read it, see it, absorb it, but go on and start with municipal powers first and do it that way. Mike's in agreement. Do you mind doing that, Mike?
No, I have no objection. I'd much rather you study it because I want to get your ideas. I'm not going to write a charter by myself, believe me. I want everybody to look at this. I want the citizens to be able to digest this. So I have actually no problem doing it that way.
Okay, I think that's fair. Council members, we agree?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Are we saying that we could just, for now, put this to the side and not think about it until we read it and review it and come back another day? Is that what we're saying? Yes.
Well,
Preamble and the Bill of Rights document that Mr. Martin has given us, because I have to read it. It's the first time I've seen it. And I definitely want to have a real good look at it.
and then it'll be up to Mike, like I see after his green part here, which is the Bill of Rights, preamble Bill of Rights. He started with municipal power, so he can just throw that in as we go through it himself.
And then, Mr. Dumont, Dr. Dumont, I apologize. What would, so just walk me through how you see the process. If we, not table this, but, we postpone discussing this evening because we want to have a chance to all absorb it and read it. When we do start to go through it, do we then, for each section, take a consensus vote about what we want to include as part of our final work product or not? How do you see this working?
Right, it's, there'll be discussion, there'll be a consensus, change, not change, what to change, and it's only going to be a consensus at that point. And we revisit it at the end of the whole process when it's all together. Then we go back and we'll start from the beginning and go right through to then vote on those consensus or change them.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So before we go on to municipal powers with the preamble, so this goes right to Mr. Martin, back to the question, what is the problem that we're trying to solve here?
Are you talking about the preamble or?
Preamble, yes, before, just so I can note this down, just so I can frame it.
I think it's important for the citizens to state why the city was created, what we citizens expect of the charter. Just as there is preamble to the United States Constitution, I think it's important that we state the reasons why the city was created, our visions for what the city should be, what the city government should do. So it's a statement of intent rather than just saying, okay, here's the charter, we started on the form of government. I think it's important to have a statement of intent as to why we are creating the city and what we want the city to be. It's sort of a visionary type of thing, if you'd like. But I still think it's a very important thing to do, because it shows what the citizens want to try to create.
Anybody want to add to that comment on it? Sound about it? Have you heard from the residents that this is lacking?
No, but then I haven't had a chance to discuss this with the residents, so I had, and I did it back in 2022, so it's 3 years old. And I did it because the mayor asked me to do it back then. David Alford was the mayor. He asked me to do a charter review, and I gave it to him, and I gave him, I hope he presented to the city council, so I presented him with a cover letter as well, saying that I didn't set out to write a charter. The charter needs to be written by a group of citizens, but that I believe there were enough things in the charter that are lacking or unclear, or there's actually a contradiction in the charter itself about whether you may create a charter committee or whether you shall create, because it's in 2 different sections and they contradict each other. And there's a lot of details, a lot of clarity. There are other things that I think definitely need to be changed. So I spoke to a few people about it, but I didn't, when there was no city charter review, called by the city council back then, I just put it away and said, well, hopefully someday, and today is Sunday, so.
The day is finally over. Okay, great. So the only thing I want to note that is when it is in the charter, this is going to, it's binding. So even though it's a preamble, it's kind of like the whereases in your resolution. So we want to really make sure that this language is not going to tie hands and such.
And I think that's true for every single thing we do. We have to make sure the language is precise, detailed, and everybody who reads it will come away with the same interpretation. So it's not just important to make changes, it's important to make sure that the changes reflect the consensus of the committee and then eventually the consensus of the city council and the voters. So language is extremely important in things like this.
Yes, thank you. All right. Citizens Bill of Rights. Again, the question is the problem.
The problem is that unless you have a clear statement of what the rights of the individual citizens are, there can be some, I'd say, lack of clarity on exactly what the citizens expect from the government and what the government has to provide to the citizens. So a citizen's Bill of Rights, just like we have the Constitution and we have the first 10 amendments to the Constitution of the Bill of Rights. It's a clear statement of what the citizens expect and demand from their government, and it's a clear statement to the government and the employees as to what the citizens expect the government will do. So I think, again, it's very important that every city employee reads the charter, understands what requirements and responsibilities they have to us, because they work for us. If I can borrow a phrase from Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And the Citizens' Bill of Rights clearly establishes the requirements that the city delivers to the citizens, what the citizens expect. And I've done a lot of research because I'm that kind of person, and there are quite a few charters in the state of Florida that do have both the preamble and a Citizens' Bill of Rights. And I think it's important that we do too.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
I do. The way I look at it is the current charter is all the whereas and what to and so on and so forth. And what this really does is kind of shorten up and give the rest of us I'm going to say simplified version of what it all says in here. And then from there, we can get into the details of what it is. So I think that it's important to make it much easier for all of us to read. And then if someone does have a super question, super question, then they can get right down into the details of the actual charter. So the preamble and the Bill of Rights is probably a good thing. I just don't know if what I'm reading is what I'm expecting, so, yeah. But I think it's a great idea to have. And I think, Mike, thank you so much for putting this together.
You're welcome. And please remember, this is just my ideas to start the discussion. What I want to have is a clear, detailed, and thorough discussion so we arrive at a consensus. Because again, I'm not trying to write a charter here. This is something that all of us need to be doing together.
Well,
Yes, and Mike, with what you've said and what's been said, doctor, we're gonna depend on you. Just for instance, I just know this off the top of my head, I'll just pick one. On his bill of rights, number 6, right to notice, that's in the detail. But I don't know how you would recommend to us whether we should have that and the detail. Does it hurt? Does it help? That's the thing I would ask.
Well,
But like I said, we're gonna come back to this somewhere along the line, so, and I'd like his comments as I read them real quickly tonight.
okay, and that's a good point, because I want to also make sure that you're all you're all in agreement that this should, the preamble, the Citizens Bill of Rights is kind of like the executive summary. That's how Mr. Matrano, that's how Mr. Matrano described it, but Mr. Martin described it as kind of like the contract between the government and its citizens. Those are two different things.
my initial observation is some of this is already codified in Florida statutes, I would think. Like public records and, truth in government and access and stuff. But if this is part of a affirmation statement, if you will, part of the charter that goes along with the preamble, I understand that. So maybe when we do actually go through this word by word, hopefully the attorneys have a chance to look at it too, and then your feedback's important too. So unless we have anything more to say on this, I was wondering if we could, again, just keep going,
Okay?
because we're gonna go through the detail going forward. So.
Yep, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with how this should be approached.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have municipal powers. I don't want to read the whole thing.
I have no changes, I mean.
Okay, because this is a pretty basic.
Yeah, this is kind of right out of everybody's and right out of the Florida League of Cities, and some people just mix the words up a little differently.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, to me, it's just the fine print. So, we'll move on.
I apologize, we're talking about what's in our current charter.
Yes. Yeah, we're at Article 1, municipal powers.
Any other comments from any of the committee members?
I think that the paragraph's a little blurry. I think it could be pruned a little bit better. Because again, the charter is not meant for attorneys, it's meant for the ordinary citizens. So I think that we could, instead of using a $5 word, we could use a 50-cent word. But other than that, I don't have any objections to Article 1.
All right. Smell it?
Mike, not correct, but you have an addition here on your paper for municipal power.
Yeah, I have to apologize. Lauren didn't make me enough copies, so I don't actually have a copy now of my own.
Sorry.
Okay. So you have,
Yeah, it was just, I was trying to simplify it, making it a little bit more approachable for ordinary people who don't know all the legal and, that's all I was trying to do, was just trying to simplify the wording so it's a little bit more understandable to somebody, the ordinary layman who doesn't have legal or governmental experience.
well, I think, if I may, Mr. Chair, I think in my reading, this part, especially with all city accounts, is somewhere, maybe under number 6 budget appropriations. I'm not sure right off the top of my head, but as I read what Mike has to say is fine, it's a great summary, but that is covered within our charter right now, and though I may have some changes too, I haven't looked at mine, so go look at it, but there's nothing wrong with it. I ask you whether we should include this in this language.
I wouldn't put it under municipal powers, I'd be putting it under budget and appropriations.
The reason I brought that up is because a lot of people that I hear in city council meetings talk about demanding quote, forensic audit. I don't think they understand what forensic audit means. I don't think they understand what audit means. They seem to think that an audit consists of going through every single paper and every single file cabinet of every single government, city office. And that's not the way it works. You don't do that in an audit. So, but I was just trying to clarify that the city needs to present their financial information directly to the citizens and a little bit more clearly than they do. Like I said, because I hear that a lot, that people talk about, we need a forensic audit. But the term basically is nonsense. I don't think they want something, but they don't know exactly what they really want. Just, Mr. Chair, are we going to allow public comment on these, what we're discussing?
I think we discussed at the last meeting, asking for public comment after we went through each section.
Right, or at the beginning of each section. I was not sure how you all wanted to do this meeting, so I don't.
Okay, so I guess on that one, that's my fault for not remembering that. So, why don't we just, for this one, why don't we just finish this, the municipal powers part, and then I'll ask for public comment, and we'll go forward doing it in reverse. That's okay, just fix it.
Okay. So are we done?
I'll do better at that.
No, that's fine. So with municipal powers, are we happy with moving Mr. Martin's suggestion to the discussion under Article 6, which would be budget appropriation? Or do you prefer to put it with municipal powers?
I'll give a compromise. That we go with your recommendation right now, but when we get to that, we may want to adopt what Mike has said, put it in the preamble or the Bill of Rights in the future. Is that okay with you, Mike?
Sure. Like I said,
You're offering it.
I'm just bringing it up to give us something to discuss. So whatever the committee wants, that's fine with me.
The committee will go along with it, Mr. Chair. I would recommend, at the direction of our guidance here, that we look at moving Mike's suggestion of the independent, or not moving, but look at it when we get to that part of budget appropriations, and at that time, consider if we want to put it in the beginning as part of the Bill of Rights.
And how would it phrase it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Okay.
Any comment on municipal powers?
Yes, I would just call for a public comment on Section 1, municipal powers. Anybody like that? Section 1 only.
Yes, Chantal Kruger. Municipal powers, the last sentence, shall not be construed as limiting in any way the general power granted in this article. Can that be rephrased a little bit that everybody understands?
I think that's excellent. I think that's part of what we need to do, is what I was trying to do with some of this, was trying to use simpler language so this, because the citizens don't understand it, then they can't exercise the powers that the charter grants them. So I think we need to try to make the language where we can simpler.
Okay, I don't know, again, kind of at a loss without the attorney here, but I would think that's referring to the top part of the article, which is basically that the city has to follow the laws of the state of Florida and the Constitution. And being in line with what it's delegated municipal powers on.
Yes, and because they note that the powers of the city shall be liberally construed, so when in doubt, go in favor of the city versus whomever is going against the city. But we'll rephrase to make it more understandable. Yeah, it's legalese. I guess its own language.
And financial legalese is even worse.
Okay, any other public comment on municipal powers? All right?
Okay.
Not, then we'll move on to form of government. And again, I'll call for any public comment on the form of government section. Okay.
Hi, I'm Donna Stansel, I live in Summer Woods. I have a comment that may help a little bit. It occurred to me that what we're all doing here is changing our charter, which involves every citizen in this city. And maybe what we should think about doing is creating possibly a Facebook page about our charter review, and then post on that page the changes that are being proposed to the charter, and allowing people who can't be here to comment on those potential changes. And that way we could, have an admin. I'd be happy to admin it if somebody wanted me to, and then report back to you what the public is thinking about what you're all doing. And so you're going through this list, and in fact, you might find yourself getting way ahead of yourself with regards to the public and what they think. So give that some thought, and hurry on.
Thank you, Ms. Nancy.
I have a general comment.
You have to go to the mic, please, sir. Are we allowed to discuss that? Yes, I would. We'll hear what the gentleman has to say first. Is it related to the form of government section, sir?
It's a general comment, because I don't know where it would fit in, but I'd like to make you guys aware of it as soon as possible. It has to do with electors. My name is Alan Rotondo. I live in Long Coast.
Mr. Rotondo,
I
don't mean to interrupt you, but I will. There's a section for elections, which I think would cover electors.
No, well, it appears 5 different times in the charter, and there's no explanation of what electors are. Each candidate for office shall be a qualified elector of the city. No explanation. This is about recall. The electors of the city, following the procedures for recall established by general law or ordinance, may remove the mayor or any member of the city council from office. I think that's pretty important. Who are electors? Electors, any person who is a resident of the city who has qualified as an elector of this state and who registers in the manner prescribed by law shall be an elector of the city. What is an elector?
We have an explanation.
Districting Commission. By the first day of the month following official certification notification of the decennial census to the state, the City Council shall appoint 5 city electors, determined from the registration from the last statewide general election, who shall comprise the Districting Commission. Electors chosen shall not be employed by the city in any other capacity. Who is an elector?
There's a definition for an elector.
You definitely have to get a
You actually gave the definition.
On your third, it is not here.
You gave,
I
yes, you
just
did.
learned from
Any
stencil
person.
that Ormond's has a definition of electors, but ours does not.
Okay.
Or nowhere where I could find it.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to mention. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else for form of government?
Excuse me. Can we discuss the stencils?
Yep. I just want to see if we have any more public comment first. We don't? Okay. We can discuss Ms. Stenzel's recommendation about a Facebook page. Right ahead. Mr. Martin.
I think you have an excellent idea, but I would suggest, since not everybody's on Facebook, that this be put on the city's website. If that's to be done.
Mike, Mr. Chair,
All right.
I took it upon myself, after Mike said we need to start gathering all this information at our last meeting, I contacted the staff. And I said, would it be possible to have a site specific for the charter committee, the charter, that people could tag into on the city and tell us what they want or see. Now, as a former person who worked in the cities, I say, oh my goodness, we're going to get everything and anything we can handle. I would say this, and if you all listen, please, put the charter right at the beginning where they can tag on it and read it. When a person responds, please, people, if the staff goes along with this and we get this done, you have to put the article number at the very beginning so we know the section to which you're responding to. Just as you are taking us through here, and it might be, Article 5, paragraph C. So we can do that, because it's just, then we're gonna be down in the weeds, and we're not gonna be able to get through a framework. So, Mike, your suggestion, and this nice young lady's suggestion, that's all I have.
Mr. John? So, that's what these meetings are for. Facebook is information, it's great, but comments on Facebook are not controllable. They're quite disrespectful, and they do it intentionally. And that's a problem that we're trying to avoid by having it here, where a person can do that. If they can't come, they could send an email to the clerk to be read. We have that. We have that ability. Facebook is great. That instant information could go to Facebook. They could read it, listen to it all they want. But to start to take comment from Facebook when they're supposed to be here, we're going to have 4 meetings. That's the purpose of it. I mean, just to have Facebook and everybody writing what they want, I think that it's not exactly the reason why we're having this public domain charter review. Not that, I guess we're going to have now a Facebook charter review. I don't know if it's making any sense to me. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of it. This is what we're here for. I'm dedicating my time, a couple hours, to be here on behalf of the people of the city. And then spend time reading Facebook and negative comments is not going to be productive. So that's my point.
Let's keep moving this forward. Let's keep going with form of government now, so our discussion on that. Mr. Mark?
Just before we do, I would like to tell you the definition of elector is a registered voter. Now, I have no problems changing all of those words elector to registered voter, because sometimes they use qualified electorate. I've seen that happen as well. And again, it's one of my pet peeves is like, let's use words that everybody recognizes. So I would have no problems in going through and putting a motion to replace every mention of the word elector with registered voter.
Well, and I might disagree with that because an elector means an elector of the city. A registered voter could be just a Flathead County registered voter. So I think we just have to be careful with the language and the verification. But there again, that's something I hate to keep harping on it, but we need legal direction on that as well. So, but point taken.
Mr. Chair, I agree. Before we leave this subject, are we going to recommend to our counselor here or the staff that they have a page on Palm Coast Connect or not? Are we recommending to receive comments from that way?
I would recommend we ask for some sort of staff's recommendation on a public forum, public website, or whatever the process is, because I don't think we can single out a particular product like Facebook, and I think we have all kinds of issues with respect to sunshine and public records and all that. So we got to have direction. We need to have the experts tell us the right way to do it. But the point being, having it public where everybody can access it on the internet in some form or fashion, and then have dialogue back and forth. I think that's a great idea.
And I agree that, I agree with everybody here on one part or another. Like I said, I'm worried that it's going to get inundated, and I would recommend to the staff, if they decide to go ahead with this for us, that they put right in the beginning, your comments are not guaranteed to come to this committee to be read. We recommend you attend a public meeting.
What?
Go ahead.
Once it's published, it's public record.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying,
Mr.
it's
Chairman?
not guaranteed that we're going to bring it up here, is it?
No, for discussion, you're right. Yes, I agree. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
but
ma'am, we can't do
the
that.
Facebook idea can have an admin who could filter out the stuff that everybody's concerned about. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead.
So, this information is going to go out the way it should by the fact that we're here, the seats are empty. We need to have people come to these meetings so we can hear it. The Facebook thing is not a wrong idea. I'm not bad-mouthing the point. What I'm telling you is that we need to get the information here, not on some platform or maybe information that's incorrect, because that's what's more out there in the public than in the internet is, half of it is less than it should be, right? So if we're here to work, we need people to come, and if they can't, then they can get that information to the clerk, we can ask questions, they can ask us questions. As far as getting all the data out through Facebook and having a moderator try to figure it out, I'm sorry, then what am I sitting here for? Then what is my purpose here?
If I may, this is actually my area of research. I've done for decades, I've looked at how governments and nonprofits utilize technology to engage citizens. So I can say as an expert, it's a good idea, not on Facebook, that there's a whole other, that stay away from Facebook, especially since these are going to be public record, can be put on the city's website. I would not suggest being able to have conversations. That's where you get into sunshine issues. I would break it down simply. These are the areas, this is in plain language, and this is what it says. And if you have any suggestions on it, email the city clerk.
Mr. Jerry?
So this way it keeps it closed, it captures all of the communication. And the same can be done with regard to proposed changes. So you have the regular, what's there now, what the proposed changes are, and then you have it in, just like on a ballot, in regular people language. Hopefully the new language, the regular people language. And then people can comment on that. And that would need to be in before we get to the end of the process, which is when we go through the whole thing, you all vote on what to move forward to the city council.
Mr. Jerry? One last comment?
I actually spoke with Marcus Duffy today. He told me he wasn't coming. He did say that Kaylee has his cell phone number, and if we did meet him, she could call him. But I would like to make a motion that the committee requests that the city attorney attend all of our meetings, because we do need legal advice, and I think that he should be here.
Any second to Mr. Marcus?
I second that motion.
All right, discussion on the motion?
I agree, because this type of opportunity comes up once every 10 years. And if our attorney's not here, and I'm saying maybe the guy has an evening out, off, but we need to have the ability to get a response so that people like the Stancil City who made a suggestion can understand whether or not it's a suggestion that's in the sunshine, once again. So this is important, I agree. I'd like to agree.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? Call the question on that one. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, so we'll pass that on. Clerk?
Yes, I'll pass that along to the city attorney.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, let's keep going here, otherwise we're going to get bogged down. Form of government, again, I think you're going to lead us in that.
Yes, and I'll read this one short. The City of Palm Coast shall operate under a city manager form of government. The general duties of the council described in Article 5, in Article 4 shall be to set policy. Council's job is to set policy. The general duties of the manager, as described in Article 5, shall be to carry out these policies.
All right, discussion on that. Mr. Martin?
I've got two things. One, I thought that we should add goals as well as policy, because I think also the part of the city council is not just to set policy, but to set goals for the city manager. So that would be my suggestion. I think there are two places where I wanted to add the word goals to the addition of policy. But I also think that, I know this is something that people have talked to me about, that we should change the form of government. We should go to a strong mayor type of government without a city manager. Personally, I think that is a political discussion. I'm not sure it's appropriate for a charter review committee to get into political discussions, but I do know that there are people who would very much like to see a change. It may be a moot point at this point in time, because we all know that there is quite a disagreement between the mayor and the other four members of the city council. And I do not believe that the current city council would ever approve a change of the form of government. But I did want to throw it out there as to whether the committee thinks as a consensus we should get into this discussion or not.
I'd like to get into it.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
It's fine with me. I think excuse me, Mr. Chair, I think it's getting out there further than what we're supposed to be discussing here. I think that's a big item to discuss separately as far as changing the form of government, if that's what we're going to discuss. If we're not, then let's discuss this part of it and address that in it. Just give me another hour.
Mr. John?
Well, I was simply going to say that the storm mayor type form of government, and the same with the city manager, it's all about the person's abilities. So what's more important is the structure we have now, where they hire a competent city manager who answers directly to the council. Makes a lot of sense because you're hiring someone based on their abilities, their education, their experience, right? And you gave the power to a strong mayor, and that person has never handled I guess, $500 or $600 million budget. We could be in a very quick, bad way in a lot of things. So my personal opinion is yes, we should not go down that road, stick to where we were, and not really bring that part of the business up. That's my thoughts.
As being a former city manager, I get on the fence because of what I've been seeing going on here since 2007. I think it comes down to communication, and as you know, Councilor, there's hybrid forms of the city manager form of government, where some of them over at the state of Florida will say the mayor has these type of abilities administratively, but not directionally, if that makes sense. I think a lot of times in this case, it comes down to having the right person in the positions, whether it be elected or administratively, and communication. As you said, once we put it in the charter and ask for them to make the change, it's there for a while, and that's the way we're going to function. I understand that the mayor and council will have to approve what we recommend, but I would doubt that a board sitting here would go against the recommendations after we fleshed it out. They might, but I would be reticent if I was sitting there as the mayor and council to go against all these gentlemen up here that are trying to flesh it out with you and the public of what we want. It has been, I will put it on record, it has been dysfunctional as of late. We've seen that. But to change the form of government because of a, quote, 4-year term or something, that's what elections are about. And I think if you have two people to communicate, it works. You might want to put a phrase in here, and I'll ask you to look at it for us, of something that says the mayor is hereby directed. I don't want to use directed, but I'll give it to you. The idea is to be communicative and work in concert with the city manager and the council to bring things forward. Because I see sometimes a communication discourse. But if you want to recommend a change, go right ahead.
If I may. This is one of the biggest things that you're going to talk about, is the form of government, and changing it from a council manager to a strong mayor is a huge change. I'll just put that out there. Before we go further, when discuss the pros and cons, if you look at cities of this size throughout the country, council manager is the best form specifically for continuity across administrations. When you look at a strong mayor council form of government, you have every time a new mayor gets elected, that you have a full changeover of that administration. So if you're a business looking to go somewhere, you don't have that continuity. And technically, it's not the mayor in the vast majority of instances. It's not the mayor who is doing the budgeting and running the government. It's the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer, who should have the same qualifications as a city manager. That said, it's also a very political position because the mayor selects who the CAO will be, usually with consent of the council. And when the mayor goes, the Chief Administrative Officer also normally goes, again, losing the continuity. Now, this can work for large cities, and at 100,000, you're balanced. So you could do that. Think about though, there will be a lot of increased costs to switch that over. So that's a different piece. But when you're looking at form of government, I go back to the question, what is the problem we're trying to solve? And is it bad people in positions, or is it the position doesn't work? And if it's the people, then it's not the structure, it's the person or the people in those positions. If it is the position itself that it is hand-tied and cannot function in the environment, then that is something that should really be looked at to change.
Mr. Mayor?
What I think is that the form we have works, but probably some of the positions, like you say, have to be looked at. Like for example, one of the, and I apologize, I didn't bring copies, but I will have them get to my members and to yourself. One of the items that I want to bring to discussion when we get to that part is precisely the residency of the city manager. We're letting good, great candidates go away simply because they don't live here. And I personally don't think that should be that way. I think we can open that up to Flagler County, for example, and not only the city of Ponderings.
I jotted that down, so when we get there, I'll bring it up.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I would just like to point out that it's far easier to change the city manager because all it takes is 3 votes on the city council. To change a mayor, if the mayor is not guilty of a misdemeanor or a felony, it is almost impossible to remove a mayor for incompetence. So I would agree that the form we have now, there's nothing wrong with the form. I think the problem is that they had put people in positions that probably should not have been there. And it's when we get to Article 5, some of the changes I have are tightening up the requirements for who can be a city manager, as well as a city attorney.
Yes.
So, well, I would suggest that we had good discussion about this. Why don't you put this one in the bucket? Because I think we definitely want to have that discussed at the public forums. That's my suggestion.
I agree.
Don't do with that?
Okay.
I agree.
Good. Okay. So that's, anything else on form of government? All right. So we'll move on to,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Did you want to make a public comment?
Well, we have.
We're going to do before.
Why don't we do this? You can save those to the end. We're going to have another public comment section at the end, but we're just trying to go through each section here and get public comment before we discuss it, if that's okay. So, yeah, I won't forget. So, all right, so we're going to move on to corporate limits. And again, before we have our discussion, I would invite anyone from the public that would like to come up and give their comments.
I want to go back to the Facebook
Sorry,
issue.
yeah, I apologize. Got to identify yourself every time you do, so we get it on the record.
What is it?
Just please identify yourself.
Oh, Chantal Collier.
Thank you.
I want to go back to the Facebook issue because, yes, that's a formal thing you're doing and it needs to stay on the serious side of the spectrum. But if you post on Facebook that those events are happening at a certain time and you disable the comments, I mean, you pass the information that people can come here and have all the information they need and be participant without having it to turn in drama or fights. It's just a thought.
So,
I personally say to that, that's what our website is for. Let's use our website. And as my committee member said, that's what we're here for. So I don't see why this needs to be brought to public in a manner of Facebook when we have the abilities to do that through our website.
so we're going away from the rules here. And now, Ms. Netzel's going to come up because we allowed. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's go back to her comment about identifying the problem. The problem is that you need to know what the residents of Palm Coast know or think. So if we had your emails, just like I have the emails of the city council members, if I want to address them with my private personal information and my question, I send an email to my representative. And I could do that if I had your emails, and you would be able to know what I thought. If I wanted to send it to everyone, one thing, or if I just wanted to send it to one individual, that would take care of it because it would protect the sunshine law. You guys would only be communicating with me, and that would be a perfect example where you can say, well, somebody said we need a preamble, but you don't have that information because we don't know your emails. So that's my statement for that. The other thing is, excuse me, you have to also remember why you were brought to this review board for the charter. There were certain circumstances that happened that we did not have a solution for in our city charter. And that's why instead of every 10 years, we're looking at it every 8 years this time. So I suggest that rather than trying to change the world, we focus on those that needed to be addressed, those ordinances that left much lacking information for us. We can read and we can understand that legalese has to be done that way from a legal standpoint. But intelligent people can read whatever the charter statement says. And if they have a question, they can ask Council Duffy or any of the council members or even you guys. So I think that we need to focus on what really needs to be taken care of instead of trying to change the wheel. Thanks.
I'm Mark Stansel, and follow up with sort of what she did. And Mr. Bacana, you mentioned earlier about people being the empty seats. Nobody knows this is happening except those few people that might have went on the city website. People go on the internet, next door, all the local stuff all the time. But they don't peruse and cruise on the city website. That's why there's no people here. They don't know. We need to advertise to get the people here. Put the word out. Put the word out on the city website. It's not going to bring people in to help you find out what the people want. Follow what I'm saying?
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead. So, no, I agree. If it's going on Facebook to announce, next door, at Flagler Live, the Observer, all of them, I think that's the place but that's not our job, it's the city's job and their communications department to make sure that they get out there, because we shouldn't even be having this discussion, right? It should be where people know what's happening.
We should have a full house.
Right, so I mean, I'm not blaming them or saying that, I'm just saying that this is important. But to have this go out to Facebook and people start commenting, it's not going to be unproductive. Okay, so but I agree with you. Yes, you need to promote it.
How, and you must forgive me because I get my stuff from direct. So, how do we advertise right now a meeting?
I think that's a question for the clerk.
I'll do my best to answer that. The advertisements of meetings are typically handled by the communication staff primarily. Of course, they're posted on our website. I believe they make social media posts about them. I just can't exactly speak to if that's created as an event or if it's just a social post, but they typically try to share the information in as many ways as possible to invite the public.
And they generate a press release with the schedule.
Yes.
You can't force a publication or a website to post it. That's just kind of the way it is.
And I do know they've put out press releases for the community workshops to raise awareness to the times and meetings of those to try and get the public input.
Maybe we have come upon, Doctor, a specific problem with the electronic age. Take you back, I've been out of this business for a long time now, 74 years, I'm going to be 74. But it used to be, we posted it on the bulletin board outside City Hall, okay? Then it got to be, not only did you do that, but you had to be in the prime newspaper of the city or the county. And I'm going to use West Palm Beach, which we can use as an example later for changing forms of government. So there was the Palm Beach Post and Times. And it would be, everybody knew, this is where I go to find out when the meeting is and what's going to be discussed. If I want it further now, back when we used to go make an inquiry at City Hall and say, I'd like to talk about ordinance 98.3, okay? Or the change in the charter, right? And they would do it that way. Now, with electronic, I think we're all looking at different areas of where we get our information and where to respond. Everybody, I get always do Palm Coast Connect. I'll tell you one of the first things, I am not a Palm Coast Connect person, but I use it. But that's something we may have to ask you to help us say, this is where it is, this is where you get your information, and then respond accordingly. And that's why early on I said in the discussion about, I agree with you, Counselor, I don't think Facebook is a place to go because of the situation with it. That we have to have a site-specific, a city site-specific control, but that people know that they can go to that site, read the charter, and say, this is what I want to tell you about. And not just to give us comment, they're not going to get a response.
So some basic thing that I would say is when you think about information and putting it on the website, that is a full information. So if I'm a regular Joe Schmo citizen, I have to know to go to the website and look for it. Most people don't know to do that. That's the vast majority, and there's nothing wrong with that. That being said, they haven't had any issues to have to deal with government in that way. And then there's the push information, and that's like when the government shares meeting information on social media, that just shows up in people's news feeds. And that's a helpful way. That said, with how the algorithms work now, you can put it out there, and even if you have somebody following you and liking your page, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up in their news feed. So it's a multi-pronged approach, and I would suggest the communication team go and you look at the data analytics on the backside to see where the people are coming from, who's mainly the Palm Coast people, which mediums they're using, and push it out through those mechanisms, as well as using old-fashioned talking to people. Yes, there's the bulletin boards. You know, is it that bad if there's a local coffee shop that, you know, a lot of people go to, put it on a bulletin board there, especially if you have to wait for brunch for breakfast on Saturday or Sunday. You're stuck by the bulletin board, you're reading it, and you might strike up a conversation. But it's, and you all know these individuals, the nodes in the community, those people in the community who a lot of other people in the community listen to. So those are the individuals you want to make sure that they are talking about the charter review, which meetings are going to be talked about, which topics are going to be talked about in which meetings. And definitely the community town halls. So I would say that all the people that you know, you're up there, as well as the elected officials, you know who the nodes are. Just get them talking about it, and when they talk about it, people who listen to them and respect their opinions will also start talking about it and be more engaged, because then it's coming from somebody that they know and respect versus just an anonymous voice online.
Mr. Chair? Ed? Can I sum it up in one word? Share. Share, share, and share it. Plain and simple. The stencils are right. Share it. Facebook, next door, whatever. Share it. Everybody, if we all share, it'll go out to thousands and tens of thousands of people, and we might get dozens more in these seats. So,
But with the caveat, you still have to do the old fashioned. I'm not on social media anymore. I realized that it was just, I have better uses for my time. So I wouldn't catch anything that's on there. So you need to really target the good old fashioned talking. Say hi to your neighbor.
One more, please.
One more, then we'll
Okay,
keep going
okay.
forward here.
We have a perfect, and we can't use it, overuse it, but y'all get a utility bill. There's nothing wrong. And I didn't see anything in my utility bill, of course I don't read it except to pay the price, but if people got used to saying, hey, there's a meeting going to be announced, that's where I look to see announcements. And I don't want to burden the staff to do that every time. But that might be a place when, like at the beginning of this one, we're going to have a charter review. They're going to meet. Please be aware and find out. Same thing. You're going to have your town hall meetings. We're going to have 4 of them. But it only takes a line in the bill to put it in there. But that's the only thing I know that we have in this city that gets out to everyone.
I've been making that case in the city that I live in, and
I know.
I get all the reasons why we can't do it instead of what we can do. There'll be a lot of people paying online. Well, then you put it up there, they have to click through that before they can pay their bill. So there are ways that you can do it. It's just the will and the ingenuity of those who actually have to implement it. Because remember, this is one more thing for them to do on top of all the other things they already have to do, which is increased in numbers in recent years.
Chair O'Brien, if I may, I was going to say, an item that we have on the agenda for this evening is for the committee to establish the meeting schedule. And I think at that point, I can take the information from this meeting and share that with the appropriate staff members to work through a communication plan with the support of the city manager and bring that to you all at your next meeting to let you know where we're going to share that, how we're going to share it, once we have that established meeting schedule.
That's a great idea, right? Mr. Martin?
Just so we're fair to the city does on their Friday email blast, they do include information about this. And my understanding is if the city has your email, you get that email blast every Friday. So if you don't, if the city doesn't have your email, contact the city and give them your email, because I receive these every Friday and they do publish it. Also, I personally have reached out, and I'm not going to name names, but to several different media people in the city and asked them if they would cover this, because it's a very, very important thing that we're doing. We're reestablishing the rules the city has to play by. And I'm just disappointed that I don't see the media here to cover this. So I personally have made a bunch of efforts, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
All right, corporate limits.
Corporate limits, Article 3. So Article 3, I'm going to summarize it. It says, when the initial charter was filed, which was 1999, and it talks about the city's boundaries. So it's a very legal type piece. It's where compost is. And then if you want to annex more land to it, the process, and that's a state process.
And that's further on in one of the other buckets too. The boundaries and how they're derived.
Well, the corporate boundary, or the city
I'm sorry,
boundaries, the next one will be the district boundaries
Right.
for elections, but this one is the city as a whole.
Okay.
Any other comments or discussion about corporate limits? I think it was pretty straightforward. Well, I already asked.
Oh, that's right.
You didn't get any, but I asked. Okay. All right. So if that's fine, we'll move on to item 4, which is city council and mayor positions or process. But again, before we do that, we want to ask for public comment on section 4, which is regarding the city council and mayor.
Mark Webb, Palm Coast. I think in this section is where we start the confusion of the definition of an elector. And I love the clarification, as you pointed out. An elector is someone who is registered and able to vote. But under B1, it says the elector of the city. Now, I think there's other clarifications and confusion points buried within the rest of the charter that we need to kind of trigger that word, do a word search, and take a look at it and make sure that it is as clear as we can make it.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Anyone else on the section?
Well, how far down in this are we going? Are we on number 1, city council composition qualifications? Or
We have another public comment.
oh, I'm sorry.
Evening.
Good evening, Karen Sousa from Palm Coast. I just wanted to clarify that all of the registered voters in the city limits of Palm Coast will know what district they reside in. It will be on their voter registration card. It will be under their city ward. So your city, you're going to have like 54, 51, 52, 53, or 54. The 5 indicates the city of being Palm Coast, and then the second number indicates what district that registered voter resides within. So all of the registered voters in the city of Palm Coast have received notification on where they reside and what district that they're in. And then I also wanted to say to just remember that any decisions that are made within, just to remind you guys that they will go to the city council, but they will ultimately have to go on ballot and to have the voters vote on them. So changing just names of words and stuff like that, would probably, if I'm not wrong, would have to go as an amendment on a ballot to change even just words in the charter.
To do any sustained changes.
Yeah, so when we're making decisions and trying to decide what we want to talk about and stuff like that, we might want to remember that it's the voters that are going to decide ultimately, and that it has to go in front of them, and the amount and number of amendments that we want to try and put on the ballot, that they're going to want to take the time to actually read and research. That was it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Cameron.
Vice Chancellor again. I've been, trying to do some homework on city charters and everything myself, because, my wife's an alternate and everything. And I'm involved in the city, I'm on the planning board. So I noticed that a lot of places have council members that are 4-year terms, but a lot of them are only 2-year terms. I don't know if that's something that you guys want to think about. It's just throwing it out there. Because I don't know which is better. I'd have to think about it just like you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stanton. Any other public comment? Or we discuss? Mr. Chair. Well, let's see what Councilor Lee is here.
I just want to respond to what Karen said.
Okay.
There's obviously going to be a limit on the amount of space that we're going to want to have on the ballot, because ballot fatigue is a serious issue. I've noticed it myself. But I did speak to the city manager today, and she said that one possible solution, in order for us not to try to severely limit what we were proposing, is that they can create parts of this that go on the 26th ballot and parts that can go on the 2028 ballot. So we shouldn't worry too much about thinking, well, this is far too much, let's cut it down. It's possible that they can do a split vote, some of it next year and some of it in the 2028 election.
with cities that they couldn't get everything on the ballot. And so what we did is we ranked ordered what we think needs to be put on the next election and what can go be put off for a couple more years until a different ballot. And one city was the primaries, which was just cleanup stuff, versus substantive, which was the general. So that is a conversation that we can have towards the end when we know how much we're going to be proposing.
All right, so discussion about city council and mayor from the charter commission. Go ahead.
So, my big daughter is here, here in Article 4, going down to composition, where we have 5 members and 4 district members. Question, why do we really need districts? I think if you go back to 1999 and earlier, when you look at the number of people that actually lived in the city, there wasn't a whole lot of people, so the majority of them lived in this tighter area. And I think that their goal was, from what I could hear, what I could see, is that by having districts, it forces someone to run and not have just the same group of people all the time in the same district running, or same area running. But that was because it was dense in this one area, so I could understand that back then. But I think going forward, there are people that want to run for seats, but because they're limited to where they live, they can't run. And we starve sometimes for candidates. I don't like to use the word quality of candidates, but I would like to say that there are a lot of people that could run for office, but if they weren't saddled with district, we might see more people in the race. And I would certainly, make Karen's job very busy out there in the elections office, but it opens up for more people to want to run. And that's my thought is, I think we should make a suggestion that districts go away. They go by seat, or whatever the term is.
So I'm going to counter your point. And this, you can relate to this because the city of Bunnell doesn't have districts, correct? And so if you look at the city of Bunnell, they have all these new homes coming into, is it Grand Reserve? No, what is that community called?
West Side.
No, forget that. That's not even, that's years away, but I'm talking about the new community.
Grand Reserve is building,
Grand Reserve,
but
yeah.
there's another one coming in.
But Grand Reserve, I mean, theoretically, if those citizens wanted to get together, they could completely elect the entire Bunnell commission if they put enough money towards it, and they're all new citizens, and you would disenfranchise other parts of the city by doing that. So, I think there's another point to that too, to think about. It's just, I realize Hackett Dunes is not part of the city, but let's suppose it was, and there's upper income people in there, they could theoretically, if they were city residents, put enough money towards it, they could elect the entire city council. And I think maybe you could speak to that, Doctor, because I think that happens in other parts of Florida, and that's not a healthy situation, I don't believe.
It's not a situation that's unique to Florida, especially with more money. It's one of the biggest predictors of who's going to win is how much money they raise. But what I would say is, yes, there's pros and cons of having districts or not having districts. Then there's also a mix. You have some districts, some at large. And that's another one. Then you look at, of your 5, one of whom is the mayor. Do you want to go to at large, to districts? Do you want to increase the number to 7? We have an odd number. But these are conversations so the problem is getting qualified candidates to run. And I take it that's only in specific districts.
Well,
I
think in every district, it's just sometimes it depends if it's an older district, they're not runners, right? And if it's a more younger group, people that have maybe retired between the age of 50 and 70, like it's on this board, you see those being active on other boards. So I don't think the district, not of course to argue the point, But it's worked in Vanell for 100 years already, so it's probably not gonna hurt here. And if someone really is capitalized to run, we've seen these races before. They put out more signs, they knock on more doors, they do the job that they're supposed to do, which is run an election. So if they're gonna put that effort and money in, I guess they should win, right? So that's what that works. That's what election runs.
Mr. Martin, then we'll go to Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Dumont, section 105 of the state statute, I think it's 105.1, mandates that any nonpartisan election, the candidates must run for a seat. Now, that seat does not have to be a geographical area, it's just designated as a seat. So I do not believe, because Palm Coast does have nonpartisan elections, and I wish we had counsel Duffy here to actually ask it, but from my interpretation of 105, as long as we're running a nonpartisan election, you cannot have an at-large election. So we would still have to, if we wanted to make a change, we would have to retain the seat, but the seat would not correspond to any geographical area. So you could have two people, for instance, Perry and I both live in the L section. If we went away from the geographical area, both of us could run for seat 2 on the city council, or seat 3, or seat 4, seat 1. So I've seen it before, and it's affected myself sometimes, where you'd like to run, but you have somebody that you like who's already holding down a seat, and that's the only seat available because you live in the same neighborhood. So I think there's, like the sheriff said, there's pros and cons to it. You'd like to make sure that every neighborhood has some representation so you don't get a stacked council. I don't think it's quite as bad here because probably the richest section of Palm Coast is the C section. And they're already mixed in, right now with District 2, so it's the L section, part of the F, B, and the C section. But I do think it's something that we should consider because it will provide a more qualified candidates running if you don't have to move out of your neighborhood in order to run for a seat. So I think it's worthwhile discussing, but I do not believe that we can do an at-large election unless we want to change from a nonpartisan to a partisan election.
Municipalities in Florida are all nonpartisan, and you can do at-large, it's just the at-large is a seat. And so you say this one, seat number, a number you don't have, seat number 6, 7, and 8 are all at-large. And that's how you get your seat number in.
I guess my question then is, we would have to change this because our charter specifically says seats by this district, this adopted district. So we would have to get rid of the district, that geographical part. I, myself, would not be in favor of that because as we grow, I've grown, in fact, I'm so surprised at the northwest section of our city that's like somebody poured water on it and it was instant pudding and we have all these people. They're going to want representation too. And as we redo our districts, as time goes on, you're going to get that representation. And if we don't have people who aren't qualified, then it's up to us, the people, to get the people within our area who represent us, the qualified ones, to get up here. And if we have to railroad them in here, railroad them in and get them on the board. But I think keeping it separate and as much separation and representation we can get is the best way to go. Vanell's made it work for them. I don't know that it would work here in Palm Coast.
So these are options that y'all can talk about. So there's the current districts, 4 districts, mayor at large. You could do 2 districts, 2 at large. You could add more people to the council and make those at large, or not do anything. I mean, not do anything, but keep it as it is.
I think at some point, because the city has options on about 62,000 acres north and west of US 1, and they have plans. Whether the plans will come to fruition with a new mayor and new council, I don't know. But at some point, if that starts developing, we are going to need to, in my opinion, to increase the number of people on the city council. Because you're going to, you might at some point be 130,000 people. And at some point, you're going to start to ask the question, how many citizens can one city council member represent? So I think at some point, and maybe 20 years down the road, at some point, I think the city council is going to have to grow larger, just to make sure that we can represent all these new areas that are building and being added into the city.
That's kind of where I was thinking is, if you, just for example, if you enlarge the council to 7 and you had kept the 4 districts and then 3 at large, or 5 and 2, something like that, I think that's probably the direction to go, but I also believe it's probably not within the 10-year horizon right now, so I don't know that it's viable right now.
So, Mr. Chair, are we in agreement that leave it as it is now, and as the city grows, future of us or future of the council, come back and look at the districts and maybe upon redefining the districts, then they can decide whether they want more members on the council or do the at-large, more at-large. Is that what?
If I may. Well, the other thing is if we don't have districts, that would save the city, I don't have any idea how much money the redistricting whole thing costs, but I would think that that's quite a number that would be a savings because, you don't have to do districting boards, mapping, and all that other good stuff. And it might save us a whole lot of legalese and legal time, which is always the thing that we want to do. It's all about smaller government, even though, we want to try not to spend more money, so this would be a very simple solution to do that, and the quality of candidates will start to pop up. So I understand what Mr. Miller, what Commissioner Miller is saying, but I really just think that take the boundaries away, and you'll see the city flourish unto itself. And then in the next charter review, they'll probably want to go with 7 members. But take the borders away now and let it sprout, let it run, and let's see where it goes in 8 years from now. That's my 2 cents.
So do you need a motion, a direction? You've gotten 2 or 3 different opinions now.
Right, but so what I'm hearing right now is, because it's not an immediate issue, at least out from 3 of the 5 of you, that as is, it's working, but it can be revisited in the next charter review and then the one after, or the one after that. But Mr. Petrano prefers to have just all at large, and I haven't heard from Mr. Moreno.
My understanding right now is that, yes, in the future we will need more representation, but as of this moment, I think we should just stay the way we are and continue the course. When that point gets here, then it'll be discussed.
Okay, Mr. Moore.
Would it be the consensus of the committee to include language that would include that particular, in other words, say the council may wish to add seats and revisit the structure of the council as the city continues to add in population?
No, if you're suggesting that will be what we transmit to the council as part of our final work product, I think that's a really good suggestion. I'm good with that.
Just to make sure that people start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I think, unless we have an economic disaster and then, nobody comes to Florida anymore, I think at some point, and nobody knows how long it's going to be, there will be that crush of people coming here again, and at some point, I think it really does need to be looked at.
The only other thing I would maybe suggest is, I think we're there with what your suggestion was, but we maybe just also put this one in the bucket and hear from the public, from the workshops first. Maybe we change our opinion after hearing about it.
And when you say add the rationale, I would put that in the charter, or put that with the rationale for not changing it.
Well, it seems to me that the consensus would be to leave it as it is, from what I've heard. But I just think it'd be wise to put it in the charter to say that, the council may wish in the future to expand the council as the population continues to grow.
I think that's, it's implicit in the charter review part. Because that's the whole purpose of reviewing the charter, is to see form of government, number of council members. And technically, it's not the council that decides
The voters.
to add people. It has to go to the voters, so it has to go through a charter review or a charter amendment.
Yeah, but
which is
if the council doesn't put it on the ballot, then the voters won't have a chance to vote on it.
And those are things that can be discussed in the general provisions of trying to get council to put things and make changes, and then what the whole purpose of the charter review is. But I would say that that's good to put in the rationale. So when it's not just the charter that any changes, there's a rationale for those changes, or not changing things. And that rationale is just as important as the actual document.
I think that's,
If I can just make one more comment, this goes back to one of our public speakers. I'm more than willing at the end of this meeting to give everybody my business card, which has my phone number and my email on it. So if anybody wants to contact me, personally, I can't speak for anybody else. I'd be perfectly willing to give it out if anybody wants it.
Yeah, my contact information's all over the internet.
all right, so we talked about city council.
So yes, we've done the A, composition,
Right.
and you agree the mayor should do within boundaries. Then qualifications.
Mr. Chair, before we leave that, and it's a question, and I may have missed it. No, I have my answer. I have my answer. I wrote it down. Go ahead.
Okay, and then here we have the elector question. The qualified elector, you have to be a registered voter of the city, a registered voter living within the city of Palm Coast, and I have a note to revisit that at a general discussion, make it more easily understandable.
Yeah, every place that pops up, replace that word with registered voter living in Palm Coast.
Yeah, I'll need the full consider. We'll get to that part.
Yeah.
I have my little notes there. And then each individual seeking to qualify as a candidate for one of the 4 seats on the council shall, and then there's the 2 sections. And these are the processes of filing your papers. And those papers have to be in by number of signatures.
My English teacher would have a fit in some of the language here, but the very last sentence of 2A ends in a participle. I understand what it says, but I think it should say something like, for which he or she seeks to run, instead of to run for. It's just a language thing, but shows how. Right.
If I may. So the qualifying fee, which is under Section A of, B, qualifying for office, and number 2 in Section A, submit petitions. I think that if you look at the increase that they've gotten in salary, the value that a person would have to pay to get in if they couldn't run around and get petitions, right? You may have someone who's physically not capable to go door to door to get petitions, right? And they may not have the capital to purchase the seat. Well, I think that these numbers need to be much less than what it is. Because 10% of, what are they getting paid now, 30-something?
The mayor makes $30,039, and the qualifying committee is $3,003.90. The city council members make $24,024 or $29, I think it is. So it's $2,402.90 for the council. And this is something that I pointed out here. For instance, City of Doral has a set fee of $200, period. It's not predicated on the salary. The Cape Coral has a fees of $150 qualifying for mayor, $100 for council. I think that we definitely need to set it either a fixed figure or change that 10% to 1% perhaps. But I think it's ludicrous when the main reason that the council said they raised their salaries was to attract a younger and more diverse group of candidates, to skin them by requiring them to put $3,000 up if you want to run for mayor. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. And there's a reason I did the charter review in the first place, because I was probably the only person that understood that when they gave themselves the raise, they raised those qualifying fees by 300% for the mayor and about 248% for the council.
So thank you for getting the rest of my statement out, because that was important. No, you did good. But again, I think that my point is to get people interested in running for office, you have to make it very easier. You have to make it easy and value price that they're going to pay to run for office, how hard they have to do it. The hard part's in the campaign, not to qualify. So if they want to win a seat, they want to win their votes, they need to go knock on their doors and spend money on their campaign. They shouldn't need to spend $3,000, and that $3,000 would get them in their own district a whole mailing. So we need to make this very cheap, very inexpensive, and make it happen so that we invite people, whether they're younger, that don't have the money, but a $250 entrance fee is going to be fine, or whether you're retired with a good retirement, and that $250 doesn't mean anything to you. So I think that that's an important factor, again, with these qualified candidates in this thing.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with both gentlemen. It should be, in fact, I'll take it down, a fixed fee, sort of to cover the like administrative costs, nominally. And I sort of like Mike's suggestion of, $100 or $200 or whatever. That way, you just don't have somebody come down, put an application and say, I want to run. And they have to make some type of effort to come forward and say, well, here's my check, I want to run. You're still going to get plenty. You're going to get a lot of people. But I agree, I think this is too onerous on the people trying to run now, or wanting to run.
Is, Dr. Dumont, is there anything that, from Florida statutes on this? It's silent, I mean.
Silent.
Okay, I think we have expert opinion maybe that we could hear from this too, so if that's okay. You raised your hand, that's right. Is that okay? You're probably going to ask the question I'm thinking, so go right ahead.
The qualifying fee for Florida statutes for a nonpartisan office such as school board is 4% of the salary. So with the city of Palm Coast, they are larger, they have a higher percentage. The Florida statutes is 4% of the salary for nonpartisan. Partisan offices is 6%. The petitions for the city of Palm Coast currently is 1% of the decennial census per district. So if you are running for District 1, you are only collecting petitions from registered voters in the District 1, and it's based off of the decennial census and the number, so each district has a different number of petitions that they are collecting. There's not a consensus same number of petitions across the board. The Florida statutes with the county, you're running, they're doing still at large, like your county commissioners are still at large with their districts, but they run on the total number of registered voters at the last general election. So it's 1% of the total number of registered voters at the time of the last general election.
So if the council decided to put, amend the charter to say there's a $10 fee and no petitions required, does it have the legal right to do that with Florida statutes?
That I'm not sure. I know that charters sometimes will override what the Florida statutes is. If the charter has something, that would be a question for your city attorney to find out what they can put in and what they can't. I know there's a 1% election assessment fee that the city does charge, even if you do collect the petition. So there's still that election assessment fee that's in the charter that you still have to pay even if you collect the petitions. So you would have to see with the city attorney what you guys could actually change and how different you can get from the Florida statutes.
That's my confusion, because I know what it says with respect to county commissioners, constitutional officers, school board members, but I'm confused about the municipal side.
Yeah. So when they write the charter, that overrides what Florida statute.
Okay.
That's the city charter.
Right, so if that's the case, that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So if we can alter what it is now, and we're not running afoul of Florida statutes, then I think that's what we're all trying to get to. Correct? Yeah, and for my money, any change to lower it and bring in more participation and minimize the barriers to entry, I would absolutely support. You're talking to a person that had to try to go out during the heat of COVID to get signatures from citizens to, run for re-election as a county commissioner. And what was my number? 1,800?
Yeah, 800 and some probably.
Good luck. It was impossible. So then what I have to do, I have no choice. I have to pay a fee, over $3,000 fee. So to the extent that we can change that here, if we have the ability to do that, I would certainly support that. Yeah, I think we are. So.
When we say that the state is silent on it because of home rules, so municipalities can say what they want. The state can control counties and counties can somewhat control municipalities. But that said, I will double check to make sure that nothing has been slid in.
And then maybe in future discussions, we can come up with specific numbers that we want to put in our recommendation. But I think direction, we're all on the same page.
You can put a dark room up, just.
Okay. All right, next section.
Mr. Chairman, Section B, I mean, it's kind of really simple. You gotta live here. And you should be here at least 45 days. I say you should be here a couple of years to figure out this joint. But from that side, I don't think we should make any changes.
The 45 days is that you have to reside here for 45 days, at least 45 days every year. So
45 weeks.
Sorry.
Not days, it's 45
45
weeks.
weeks. So you can't split
No
yourself.
birth.
Now, I'll throw a wrench, Mr. Chair. This is what you get in. What about prior to? Would you want someone brand new coming in and running, and I'm just throwing it out for discussion. Brand new, just opened up their house or apartment or whatever, running for office? Or would you like somebody, since we're staying with the districts, a little more familiar and put a time limit saying you have to reside in the district 6 months prior to running for office or qualifying for office, or a year qualifying? I'm leaving that out there for discussion only, because I was approached about it.
Sure. Please.
I think you raised a valid point. I also think that it may be something that can be dealt with by the voters themselves, because if you're a smart voter and somebody is, you don't know in your neighborhood is campaigning for, say, your city council seat, and you don't know them, you might say, well, how long have you been here? And then it's up to the voters to say, well, I've only been here 3 months. It's up to the voters to say, well, do you really know what's going on here after you've only been here for 90 days?
Mike, you're correct. I believe on the form, if I'm correct, Madam, it actually states when you apply for qualifications how long you've resided in the city. It does not.
Yes,
So I thought it did. I don't know why I didn't thought it in the city and stuff, but.
But I'm not opposed to creating some limit where, for instance, 90 days or 6 months just so people can be sure that you actually know what's going on, at least in your neighborhood, even though you're basically an at-large council member, you're not just focused on your own neighborhood. Everybody votes for you.
Right.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. People move here, they love Florida, we stay for 20 years until we die, right? But then there's people that move here and within 10 days, they're here, they hate it. So I think we need to put a date certain so that the person's here, experiences what's going on around here, understands the neighborhood, knows how to get from Walmart to Home Depot, that type of thing. So I think, yes, in my opinion, there should be at least a 6 month, 90 days, 6 months, something. We need to put date in.
Well, I think, again, I would defer to council on that one, because I don't know what we can and can't do, and that could be a civil rights or constitutional issue too, so.
You can have length of residency requirements in your charter. So when I ran, it was at least 1 year.
And something too, we could just put in, say, an X as a placeholder if we wanted to make a change, and then explain to the council when we present the report that we felt this is something that you should decide.
Good idea.
But at least we give them the sentence that we think there should be a limit, so that then they can set themselves.
Okay? You're recording all that, correct, Dr. Eva? No, I mean, you're taking notes.
Oh yeah, I'm taking notes and I'm recording.
Okay. All right. Other sections?
I have a question. How is it determined, is it just by affidavit that you're residing in the district you're running for? Is it known? I should know this, but I don't. Like if I'm running for
Right.
District 2, and I meet the qualification we're talking about, I've been here 90 days or a year, how do we determine that I've been residing in that place for that term?
Not just knowing it.
I can own several properties, and that just came up not too long ago about someone who owns a couple properties in different districts, and their name is on the deed, and on the homestead.
Is it homesteaded?
Yeah, I would say that you have to go by
That would be a
homestead, but
good
it's,
point.
I
Homestead
think you
would
get
be
too
it.
far into the weeds and you're gonna be like checking, is that where your morning newspaper goes?
All right, we have subject matter expert Karen.
So one of the qualifying paperwork is your candidate oath. On the candidate oath, you have to list your legal residence, which is also your voter registration residence, which also shows your districts, and will tell you whether you reside within the district that you're looking for. Ultimately, though, the qualifying officer is not allowed to disqualify somebody based off of that. That would have to go in front of somebody as long as the paperwork is completed. Is all completed, and then, but if somebody outside had noticed it, they would be able to. You also have to, if you move, you would have to either resign or step out of office if you no longer reside within the district.
So my question would be, do we need clarification in the language here as she's talked about, even though they're signing an oath, after that, it said they sign an oath and
It's the candidate oath, it's the paperwork that you have to complete as a candidate in the state of Florida, and that will have, list how you want your name on the ballot. It lists your, for partisan, it would be party, it lists your address, and it has to be notarized.
or with additional language that says in accordance with your voter's registration address and, or something like that, or do you guys want it?
It's on the oath. It's on the oath, as Karen says, it's a specific on the oath, and it's by statute, correct? So
Yeah, it's by
you have to
statute,
file the
and
oath.
it's, yeah, it's your DSDE, for the city of Palm Coast, it's your DSDE 302 NP, which is your candidate oath. It's one of the qualifying forms.
That's fine.
It's protected, essentially.
That instead of trying to put it on the city to make sure everybody lives there at the certain, I'm sure anybody running against that individual would be more than happy to point it out.
Run the race.
Okay, other sections to discuss. And the section 4. Article 4.
So I'm kind of just going in the order. So we did 1A, B, and possibly adding the X amount of time living within Palm Coast. So do you want it within the city or within the district?
I would say within your district. We're gonna stick with the districts for now.
Yeah, because you're running to represent your district.
Yeah,
Okay.
reside in the district.
So that we don't have people kind of informed shopping.
You got it.
That's expensive these days with the price of housing. Okay, so that leaves, next up is terms of office. 4 years, 2 consecutive termed out.
We missed the mayor's, it's on 3, the mayor
Oh, sorry.
qualifications.
Ah, yes. Mayor's qualifications. Are there any,
I think it kind of falls into, I think it kind of falls into the same with the rest of the council, so
yeah, just mimic?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the terms are next. Does everybody agree that the mayor, the same thing with the qualifications, the petitions, the
Qualifying fee, yeah.
Okay. And with the X of the, all right. Terms of office, everybody's happy with 4 years and 8 years max.
That's fine. I am bringing this up because somebody asked me to. I don't necessarily agree with it. But somebody told me that because the House of Representatives runs on a 2-year cycle, they thought that would bring more representative government than a 4-year term. So I'm just bringing it out there to the rest of the committee. Personally, I think that 2 years is too short. Having spent 47 years living in Washington, D.C., I can tell you that every single member of the House of Representatives, as soon as they get sworn in, they're planning their campaign for re-election. And it really increases the significance of the money that they can raise. So personally, I'd be against it, but I know somebody couldn't be here, so they asked me if I would just bring it to the attention of the committee, see if anybody else believes we should shorten it to 2 years.
Half jokingly, I'll say that city council members have a lot more responsibility than congressional reps, given the budgeting requirements and the fact that, I don't know what Congress does these days, but that's a whole different discussion, but I would be in favor of leaving it at 4 years, 2 terms, term limited that.
I agree.
If I may say something on that, please. So, you know, if you have, a lot of these folks that run for office, and this goes back to what money it takes to do, when we talk about the qualifying fee, it's their own money. So if you were to if we were to shorten this up, they're using their own money to get started. Could be anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. It depends on how hard you want to run a campaign. So it doesn't pay you enough to get your money back until you at least work a year. So personally, 4 years is a good time. It gives time for the after the election so that they could get used to their office. And then when they get down to the 3.5 years, it's time to run again. They can revamp and have capital to do the project. So, you know, I don't think there should be change there.
And it takes at least a year just to go through one whole cycle of a government year in terms of budgeting and planning and strategic planning and all the things that happen in a regular cycle. So burning takes a while, so 2 years is probably too short for this position.
And I'll maybe have to finish it up, is that I think we already have problems with institutional memory or the lack thereof. So for instance, I'll give you an example. In 2004, the council created the 2035 plan, which is what they thought the city should be in 2035. The council approved it. It went into probably a loose lit binder somewhere, went and sat in somebody's shelf, and nobody's ever looked at it again. And now they're doing a 2050 plan, and I guarantee you the same thing will happen in 8 or 12 years. Nobody who will be then on the council then will even remember there's a 2050 plan. So I think that you want to have longer terms just to not just so they learn and they have the experience of going through a budgeting cycle, but they also, there's some institutional memory that helps guide the council for, look, this is what we were focusing on trying to achieve, and let's not lose sight of that.
I have another thing here. So on C, now I'm not quite sure if I'm in the right bucket. Okay. It says here that each council member shall remain in office until his or her successor is elected. I don't know where in this whole document it has when someone leaves office, retires out of office, quits office, passes away. I don't know if it's in this section or not.
It's in Article 8, I believe, Barry.
I thought so.
Under elections, yeah.
Yeah, so, but that's something we definitely want to talk about, is how that seat gets replaced, because the chaos is unnerving.
And it's Article
7, yeah.
7.
Vacancy.
And special elections is 5 and 5 and 6.
So can I make a motion?
But I also think that in 4, in section 7, vacancy, failure of office, suspension, recall, filing, number C also refers to filing of vacancies.
Yes. And to, whether a special election or a, appointment.
Yes.
Well, I was gonna make a motion, but I just think that if we could do a consensus, we should just keep terms of office the way they are.
Okay, I think consensus on that?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
I don't know, and I'm like you, I know I read it, and I thought I had a note. There is, you can only run for succession twice.
Right, 8 years maximum per seat.
Now, question, I didn't find language, I don't think, that said, for instance, if he got appointed by the council because of a vacancy, does that time count towards his succession of the 2 4-year terms? Because I don't think it's clear in here.
I believe it's in there somewhere. I read a lot of charters, but if it's the first half or the second half when he took office. So if it's in the first half, it counts as full term. If it's in the second half, it doesn't.
I will make it, I will promise you, I will try to reread it if you will do it also, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because I know several charters like you have done and I have done, they made it very clear that no partial terms will count towards the succession of the 2 terms or 3 terms.
Right, it depends on the charter and the municipality, what works for them.
If I may, it's one of the sore points. It is one of the really hurting pain of this charter is that replacement of a seat that's vacant. So we definitely want to get into that section. We got to spend some time.
All right.
Okay.
So we know it's 4 terms. Are they staggered? Are they
2 terms.
I'm sorry, 2 terms, 4 years, 2 terms. Are they staggered, like?
In succession.
No, I'm talking about that. Does everybody go up at the same time?
No.
Okay, so there is the,
Yes.
okay,
It's 3 and 2.
got it. All right, anything else with C? Other than we're going to revisit that in 7?
Yes.
We have a request to comment?
Well,
And I think when we just kind of went with the big one, council and mayor, we didn't play down all the.
sure, that's fine.
So you're covering a lot of material, and it's difficult to follow, and we have only 3 minutes the most. Okay, so qualification for office. Each individual seeking to qualify as a candidate has to submit a petition, and with 1% of the electorate residing within the district. When that was written, we had less people living here, so I guess you needed less signatures. And if you take the option to pay a fee instead, that was before the city council and mayor increased their salary. So that's something different. Now, if you change anything, unfortunately, those who are running now won't be able to benefit from the good change, and that's not going to be retroactive because it's going to go on the ballot. Also, having people living in the district for a certain time. What happens when you remove those districts or you change them because of population and the idea was brought earlier to possibly remove the districts. Could we put that on the ballot anyway and see what people think about it? The term of office that you just talked about, it says no council member or mayor may serve more than 2 successive 4-year terms in the same seat, which means they can have a 4-year period in between where they don't do anything. and they can reapply for twice the same seat again. And at least that's my understanding. And on the C, so still in the term of office, 2C, each council member shall remain in office until his successor is elected. I understand that as a regular term. There's no tragedy happening. That person is just doing his term till the end, and we say, okay, you're going to stay there until the next election. But what if somebody is suddenly very sick? That person is sick and has to quit, or somebody in his family is sick. So is there any option for that? Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Martin.
Okay, first of all, it's a 2 successive 4-year terms. So if you were sick, and let's take the example of Ray Stevens, who was critically ill and resigned from the council, he did not serve a 4-year term. So my understanding of that would be that if Ray was elected, I know he wants to run again, he would still be eligible to serve 2 successive 4-year terms. As far, now we agreed, I think, on the council that we were not going to remove the districts. But I can tell you, as chairman of the districting board in 2021, when we redrew the districts, the district commission themselves took it upon as our responsibility to make sure that all of the active final candidates remained in their district. Because I can tell you in 2011, when the then district committee met, they deliberately moved an active file candidate out of this district. Even though that candidate showed up at their meeting and told them, hey, these districts that you're thinking of, you're moving, I'm an active file candidate, you've moved me out of my district, and the chairman, who did a terrible job, just ignored it. And I can't promise that succeeding districting boards in 2031 will do the same thorough job, but we made sure that not only the sitting district council members remained in the district, but all active file candidates did the same thing. And you have to remember too that these are basically preliminary discussions. We will come back toward the end, probably in February or March, and we will revisit and vote, because we haven't really voted on anything yet. So we're kind of getting a sense of the board and the sense of that you are here at this meeting, your opinions, to try to create a preliminary agreement. But everything still has to be revisited, we still have to vote on everything. And then it goes to the city council, and the city council can either accept our report as is, they can reject the total report, or they can make whatever changes they want. So the ultimate decision will be made by the city council, and then whatever they approve, that will go on the ballot in November 2026. So everybody who votes will have a chance to vote on any of the amendments to the charter in the 2026 election.
That said, people can be redistricted out of their districts. You guys are nice. But it depends on who's drawing the lines. I came close. I was on the south side of the road. I was on the north side of the road, and the district ended on the south side of the road to the north of me. Really close.
Yeah, the city staff made sure that all the city council members remained, but it didn't look deep enough, and there were 2 active file candidates that would have been, removed. They would have been in another district. And so because we looked at and made sure, okay, look, there's 2 people, these 2 people need to remain, their respective districts. So go back and withdraw it and come back and give us a redrawn district. And they did, so everybody was happy. Because it should be part of your responsibility that you're not, excuse me for the language, you're not screwing any of the active file candidates over. Because God knows, we don't have enough people running as it is, in my opinion.
Just so we know, the 2 successive terms for the same seat. So this means that somebody can serve as council for 8 years and then mayor for 8 years, or vice versa, mayor for 8 years and then council member for 8 years, and that would be a consecutive time.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a voter's decision if you really like somebody, and whether they serve as mayor first or council first. If you really like them, you did a great job, you vote them back in. I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
All right, bring us back to where we were.
That's where we were. Yes, and then C is how long they stay in office, and in 7 it goes into vacancies, forfeitures, and all that stuff. Powers and duties of the council is 3, except otherwise as prescribed herein or provided by law. Legislative and police powers of the city shall be vested in the council. Council shall provide for the exercise of its powers for the performance of all duties and obligations imposed on the city by law.
Well, I have quite a lengthy paragraph that I would suggest adding to that, which is action requiring an ordinance. Because I found that in other city charters, they actually have this or similar language, we don't. I think it's important to specify what actions actually require an ordinance. I'm not sure that, I put it in powers and duties of the council because I think it's power and duty. But basically, it's an action requiring an ordinance in addition to other acts required by law. Specific provisions of this charter or vote of the council all must be authorized by the council in the form of an ordinance if they, A, adopt or amend an administrative regulation or establish, alter, or abolish any city office, department, board, or agency. B, establish a rule or regulation the violation of which carries a penalty. C, levy taxes or appropriate funds. D, grant, renew, or extend a franchise. E, set service or user charges for municipal services or grant administrative authority to set such charges. F, authorize the borrowing of money. G, sale, transfer, lease, or authorize by administrative action the transfer, lease, or sale of any lands owned by the city. Or H, amend or repeal any ordinance previously adopted except as otherwise provided by the charter. I feel it's important to specify so that the citizens know and the council knows exactly what ordinances require a charter. Let me ask you what actions require a charter?
An ordinance.
Yeah. What actions actually require an ordinance?
Basically, you're spelling out what they do anyway, but just.
It codifies it so everybody can see what it is, so that if somebody has any questions and they, wait a second, you need an ordinance to do that, well, they can look at the charter and see what actions require an ordinance.
Okay.
It may be understood among the council members, and certainly I know Councilman Duffy understands that, but again, I think it's important to clarify, because to me, the charter is more important for the citizens, so they understand their rights. So that's why I felt this, and like I said, I've probably read 10 other charters here in Florida. So a lot of them do that. They actually establish what actions require an ordinance, so I thought it was important to do that, because I don't see it anywhere in the charter as it is.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. Arn's discussion?
No. Not here.
No. I get your point. Again.
We can always come back.
Yeah, those are good suggestions, and my concern was not changing the powers. We're just basically enumerating them in more detail for better understanding.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Like I said, because the council, knows what they can do, but I don't think all the citizens do.
Okay. Please.
Mr. and Mrs. Stansel, from our committee, thank you for
Oh,
coming.
I'm not leaving.
I'm just.
Oh, excuse me.
Hurting, I had
We just
surgery.
thought it was something we
We
said.
didn't want,
Oh, I got
to
more
make
to
sure you
say.
know we appreciate your time, that's all.
He'll be back, I can't.
I have a question to the council.
But you have to come to the mic, sir.
Thank you for that. Mark Webb-Ep035-Palm Coast, isn't it your intention tonight to go line by line the entire charter? You've been here 2 hours already. You've gotten 15% of it. It's all good stuff, what you guys are bringing. I would suggest.
If I can interrupt you, in our first meeting, we set a limit of no more than 3 hours for the meeting.
Okay. Just want to
So-
ask them clearly, you're going to need another meeting.
We're going to need a lot more meetings, I think.
before the first of the year.
Well, that would be part of what we do today, is we're gonna set the schedule for the rest of the meeting, so.
I just never heard that at the beginning of the opening to it. This is what we're planning on doing, this is the line-by-line actions that you ask the citizens to address sections prior to the discussion, which you've done, when none of us know anything about most of these sections still after you discuss it. So it could be more beneficial to ask for public participation after you get finished with something, because some of us may have experienced an aha moment or something we missed. Some of us were just handed this today. But I was just asking for the time frame because
We'll put that down.
just suggestions.
It's a good suggestion. When we talk about our meeting schedule, I think we'll lay that in, and maybe if we want to alter our process, we can talk about that.
I think you need as many of these as possible. That's always a good thing.
And again, to address your overall suggestion, I think what we all agreed to this evening was to take a broad approach here, get consensus on the easy ones.
Sure.
And then have good dialogue in each section, and then we're not gonna get to this whole thing tonight, we're just not. And then keep going, and then eventually start to hone it down till we get to a final document. And however many meetings that's gonna take, we'll figure it out.
Absolutely. So 3 hours, so you got an hour.
Well, we're probably gonna, and that's a good point to bring up, council, committee. I'm thinking maybe we stop our discussion about 8:30 or so, because then we can get to our other business on here, which is scheduling the meetings and getting any other final public comment, if that's okay.
Fine with me.
All right. All right. Bring us back.
Okay. We are on all right, so we have the powers and duty of council. Mr. Martin would like this added.
Yes.
We're gonna revisit it. It's a big piece, and we need to figure out where we're gonna put it in there, because the next one is the power and duties of the mayor.
Right, and like I said, I put it in there because we talk about powers and duties of the council. It may be more apt to put that someplace else.
Okay.
So it's not that this has to go there, it's just I think it's important to add that somewhere where it's appropriate.
All right, sounds good.
Again, it was just trying to give the committee something to focus on so we could, start. Because if you don't have anything to focus on, you're kind of trying to, make it up as you go along. So I thought, if nothing else, at least this will give us a basis to discuss some things.
So we're going to revisit the powers of the council. So we'll go deeper into the mayor. Why don't we just do the power and duties of the mayor, vice mayor, compensation, expenses, and we end at 7 or 6, depending on where we get, how far we get, and then we can go into the scheduling of the meetings and such.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
I think the vacancies, forfeitures and such is going to be a rather long discussion. I don't want to break it up in the middle.
And frankly, section 6, the compensation may be, we might not even get there because I have some ideas about that as well.
So we're going to call it, when we get through number 5 before we get into 6.
Yes.
I agree with that. Yeah, we'll leave it 6, because there's a lot to talk about in the conversation.
So let's go about duties, powers and duties of the mayor.
All right, powers and duties of the mayor. Powers. In addition to the regular powers of council members, the mayor shall be recognized as the governor for purpose of military law, have the power to declare an emergency situation, have the power to serve for service of process, and execution of contracts, deeds, and other documents, have the power to represent the city in all agreements with other government entities or certifications to other governmental entities that the council has approved. That's a lot of stuff saying the mayor has to sign off on everything the council puts on.
For me, the
Like literally
last sentence is the most important, that the mayor has no authority to sign anything unless it is been approved by either ordinance or budget resolution or whatever the legal document is that empowers the mayor to just sign something, because it has to be signed by an officer
Right.
of the municipality. Mr. Martin?
And I totally agree with you. As a matter of fact, I have a suggestion that after a sentence that ends execution of contract deeds and other documents, I suggest we add the wording after approval by a majority of the council. Because I'd really like to have that home, because it's clear to me that some mayors don't seem to understand that they really don't have the authority to go out on their own and give instructions to city employees or anything else. So I think I'd just like to make that clear by adding that after approval by the majority of the council.
I think that's what the entities that the council has approved does. And with regard to telling staff stuff, that falls under, there's a specific piece that the council, it's in this section, that the council cannot delegate, assign tasks to staff members.
They can only seek information.
Yes, you can ask questions and such. You can't say, I need you to go mow my lawn. You guys, Public Works has an excellent lawnmower. Can you mow my lawn? I have a large yard. They can't do that.
Yeah, but
for multiple reasons.
But again, the term give instruction, what exactly does that mean? It's clear that, you can't give any direction. No individual member of the council or the mayor can give direction to any individual city employee. Everything has to be voted on by the council and then go through the city manager.
Well, I thought that was clear in the job description of the duties of the city manager in terms of managing the staff. I think there's language in there about managing staff and giving direction.
Right, there is, and then when we get through this section, in number 11 is non-interference by city council. So there it explicitly states they cannot interfere with.
That maybe is where you put city council and mayor.
Yeah, because we've had a couple of instances
So the
where...
question is that the mayor is thinking that because it only says city
You
council.
didn't say that.
Okay.
We had...
Technically, because
You
it's...
didn't say that.
Okay.
But we had, let's put it this way, we had a certain mayor do that. And so I think it's really important to make it clear that the mayor has no powers other than basically a vote on the city council. Because it's clear that some people don't bother to read the charter.
Powers, they have duties, ministerial duties, like signing what they're authorized to sign, and, they do have some powers because they're, I think, delegated from the state with respect to emergencies.
Yeah, they have some emergency powers. After the council declares an emergency, the mayor is the person that can execute
Yes.
that. But except in an emergency situation, the mayor cannot give instruction, direction, or demand the resignation of any city employee.
Right, and I'm looking at 11 and I'm looking at 10. It says neither council members nor the mayor, that's 10. It doesn't say that in 11, so I wrote a little note to add that in for clarity.
Yeah, just for clarity.
And so that should take care of the addition that you wanted to put in the, and approved by the majority of council, Mr. Martin, or you still are not, you're questioning the,
I'm just trying to make it 100% clear to anybody who comes after, serves as mayor or serves in the council that, the mayor doesn't have the authority to do this on his own. He has the power, for all these things, to execute the contract deeds, but only after it's been approved by the majority of the council.
He's not autonomous.
Or she.
Or she. Okay. Mr. Chair, Mike, does this language go along with yours? And I'm trying to put it together. I have what I wrote, and there it goes. The mayor shall have no administrative duties other than those necessary to accomplish these actions, the actions that you've done. These actions, where are you, Patrick? These actions, or such other actions that may be authorized by the council consistent with general or special law. Does that go along with, and maybe your doctor can clarify that language. And I think she takes both what Mike and I have said and melts them, you'll have a good solid definition of working as a team instead of a single person.
Oh, I don't want to work with a single person. I like.
I mean, mayor and council.
Yeah. Like I said, because obviously we've had this situation come up, so I think it's clear that it needs to be clarified in no uncertain terms that the limitations of what the mayor can do.
Okay, so on D, 4D, to go with what you just said, the mayor shall have no administrative duties other than those necessary to accomplish these actions or other actions as may be authorized and approved or approved by the council. So if we just put that approved, so authorized is different than approved. Approved is like voted on in the affirmative, where authorized, yeah, you can go to that meeting and represent us.
Agreed, Mr. Chair. Can you add that same language to the vice mayor's duties in case that person has to step in? It's the exact same thing. Thank you. Just a question, did the AC system go off early here this evening?
I'll check into that for you.
Just wondering.
Okay. If there's nothing left on, no other conversation on powers and duties of the mayor and powers and duties of the vice mayor, election duties? Or do you want to, so you asked for powers of the vice mayor to mirror those of the mayor. What about election?
Well, the vice mayor is elected once a year, so.
Yes, so what I'm saying, are you all happy with, like, do you want to leave it as is, with
Yeah.
the exception of
Yeah.
that clarification?
Yeah.
All right, well, that brings us up to compensation and expenses, which we're going to save for next time. We're going to, this is the little, what do they call that, the trailer? Where everybody
teaser.
shows up.
The teaser.
Yes. Shows up next time, so we are going to move to meeting schedule. So currently, the community town halls, 3 of them have been set. The 4th one, I'm told they're still looking for a location. But the first one is going to be September 29th, then October 24th, and then October 29th. These are all on different days to accommodate different schedules. And they'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. Any comments on that? Concerns?
The only concern would be to be able to gather and get that information to you and us in time to kind of peruse it before we come up and start discussing it.
I'll be facilitating all of these meetings,
Okay.
so I'll have the information.
All right.
And we'll find out how good AI is with summarizing.
I would ask my fellow committee members if we could refrain from speaking at those meetings. And, you know, if you choose to attend, just kind of go back and soak it in. But I don't think that's the process. I think we're supposed to, you know, let you run those meetings and observe, correct?
Yeah, the intent is for the residents to speak without being guided, led, or, you know, what are their thoughts? And people who sit up there have an air of authority or power, and we want to make sure that it's the citizens who feel the most empowered in that room.
You okay with that?
Mr. Chair, I've even debated whether I'd even go to the meetings because I have a tendency, as I was telling one of the people outside, my wife noted the other day, it took me 2 hours to come home from Publix because I got cornered in Publix. And of course, I like to speak, as you know, but they were starting to hit me with everything but how to leash a dog, you know, and so I'm debating whether I will even go. I think I may just listen to it and find out or get it from you, because I think you run the danger.
I think I'll bow to the views of the majority of the council because it's important that we do everything by consensus. I personally was thinking that I'd like to go to the meetings and actually engage with the citizens, because a lot of those people aren't going to come here. And I would be interested in what they say, and just to make sure that I would understand exactly what the point is, because some people can speak without really making themselves clear. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to be able to say, you know, I'm not sure I get your point. Could you explain it a little clearer, or what do you mean by the term, whatever the term might be? Because the whole intent of this is we, as citizens, have been appointed to represent the rest of the citizens in the city. And I believe it's important that we make every effort to engage with the citizens, just like we're doing tonight. So I would like to go and not just listen, but actually try to have a dialogue if I think that I'm not clear on what the person is actually saying. But if it's the majority view that we should not speak, then I'll go along with that, just because it's important that we do things by consensus.
I'll just say that that is my role there, is to dig into what they're saying, because a lot of people say something, but it's not really what they're meaning, they're not getting to the problem. So it's my job will be to get more clarity from them and dig deeper into the different comments that they make.
And I'm not trying to insult you at all, but I just see that as we're citizens, they're citizens. You know, we can have a dialogue anywhere with those people. But I still think it's important for us to hear directly from the citizens.
Well, where my concern would be is when we cross the line, if we're there engaging with the citizens at the meeting, you know, if we cross the line and they think that they heard from us and we're speaking for all of the other committee members, you're not. You're speaking for yourself as a committee member, and I would just be cautious about any of us doing that, that's all. I can't tell you what to do. If you want to go and engage at the meeting, I'm just asking that we, you know, the meetings are efficient and everybody gets a chance to talk, and that's why the city council engaged Dr. Dumont to be able to handle that part of the process. That's the way our proposal was approved by the council. So,
Mr. Chair, I agree with you, and I worry that someone goes and talks to Mike and comes to the next meeting and engages me and starts that, and you're starting to borderline on sunshine issues there. So you need to be very careful. I'm like,
No, there would not be a sunshine violation, because we are not talking. We can both speak to the same person outside of a public meeting. It's not a violation of the sunshine law.
except if your idea is transmitted to that person to be transmitted to me.
You can't have intermediaries.
No, absolutely,
That's what
but
I'm saying.
I'm not saying that would go, but if I did engage with somebody, it would just be to, you know, can you clarify a little bit about, you know, your remarks? I just want to make sure you understand it. Not just acting as a person. But like I said, if the consensus is that you don't think that any of us should, then I won't.
I go along with the chair. Use your own judgment and let it fall where it may. You know, is that what you're saying, Chair?
I agree.
You would say not go.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with this, Chair.
I just don't, I guess the bottom line for me is I don't want any other committee member to speak for me or represent my views are my views, and they should be discussed here at this meeting in the public, in sunshine, and you run the danger of doing that. No, it wouldn't just be there. I mean, suppose you were invited to be a guest on David Ayer's radio show and discuss, the committee, which any one of us could do. It's just, you have to be careful to not represent, say you're speaking for anybody else on the committee, because you don't.
No, I actually agree with you. And I'm really careful about that. I wouldn't go there to talk to people and tell them what I think. It's just, to me, it's important to hear what people think. Because I know that not everybody's going to make the meetings here at City Hall. So I'm just curious to listen to people, and if I just have a question, if somebody says something and I'm thinking, what do they really want? To be able to have a discussion with them and say, even if it's after the meeting's over, just to say, can you elaborate a little bit on what you said, just so I can understand what your real point is. But I would never venture, which is the reason I apologize at the beginning of this,
I know.
because I never want to, step on anybody's toes or speak for anybody else.
Can I ask you a question? So I'm a little confused. The September 29th meeting is a board meeting?
No, these are all the
These are all town
community town halls, like it, but I'll go out and I'll ask people about the charter and I explain what a charter is and all of that, and then engage in conversation with the people who are in attendance. And it's a 2-hour process. We always set 2 hours.
Okay, so we don't have to attend the 29th, the October 24th, and the October 29th?
Nor the TBD.
Right, okay. Only if we want to.
If you want to, but I would ask that you're more an observer than an engager.
I want more of a suit.
I agree.
Okay.
So, what is the consensus?
To follow your plan?
Okay, so you, okay. I wanted to make sure that.
And I appreciate the dialogue. Okay, so we need to discuss future meeting dates, correct?
Yes. And they'll be Monday nights.
I think the clerk has something she'd like to add.
Is there a reason they're Monday nights? Oh, well, that's fine.
And I should add too, at the beginning of the process, I did ask each of you for your general availability, and that was what fit the most members. It wasn't ideal for all members, but it was what fit the majority of members. So that's why we've based them on Mondays so far. So we're just looking for the committee to establish a set meeting schedule, be it Mondays at 6 p.m., at what meeting frequency, so that we can share that on social media and get all of the facilities scheduled and that kind of thing.
Okay. Kelly, can I ask you whether we are going to have, if we meet at 6 p.m. on Mondays, is that pretty much free up every Monday for a meeting, or there are certain Mondays where the city council chambers are being used for something else?
That's a great question. I don't know right at this moment. I think Mondays are fairly open on the council room schedule. Towards the end of the week, there are more meetings. For instance, city council is on Tuesdays, especially in some evenings. And there are planning board meetings, code meetings, those residential drainage, and those on Thursdays. I think Monday is fairly open.
Okay, so if we set the meetings and we decide which one is going to meet, then you can look at and let us know by email whether there's any conflicts.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
And just one more question, because I would think that we would have to vote on the meetings if we do have a conflict of one of the later meetings, then you'll bring up, so then we have a meeting before that, we can then vote on rescheduling that.
Absolutely, or the same goes if it falls on a holiday, for example. We can work through those once the committee establishes a schedule.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin.
All right, so what's the pleasure?
So how many committee meetings do we need after the town halls?
As many as it's going to require us to flesh it out. I mean,
I think we're better off starting early and scheduling enough meetings. If we don't need them, we simply cancel them. And if we do finish early, we give it to the city council early. They'll have more time to digest it and hold a few workshops. So I think the earlier we finish, the better. What my concern was, I didn't want to get into a situation where now we're in the beginning of March and we still have a lot of things to continue to go through, and then we have to start rushing, cutting corners, because I don't want to cut any corners.
what about the second Monday? I'll just throwing this out, okay? I'm just trying to look at a calendar and do it. But you've got a meeting coming up September 29th.
Yeah, next Monday.
So
Yeah, it's a town hall.
would you want to meet on the 6th of October or push it to the 13th of October? So you have more time. Because I don't know what she's going to receive. And I agree with you, Mike, we need to get as much, so at the end, we can really.
Personally, I would suggest that we settle for 2 meetings in November, either 1 or 2 meetings in December. I don't have a problem with meeting on the first week, so that we try to get either 3 or 4 business meetings done before January.
I've done my
What
suggestions.
about October?
Yeah,
Yeah, we start in October. We try to have two business meetings in October, 2 in November, maybe 1 in December.
I suggest bi-weekly, starting on the 6th of October. That would be my
so
suggestion.
every 2 weeks.
I go along with that.
6th, 20th, and then November 3rd, right?
Right. November 3rd and 17th if necessary.
And I think once we get into November, we'll have a better handle on how much more we have to do, if there is any more to do. So we can, if we schedule out through then we can see, do we need to meet in December, do we need to meet in January? Maybe we'll go through this, like a hot knife through butter, and we can get things done pretty quickly.
Can I ask a question? Dr. Dumont, can you give us the dates of our meetings? Can you give us the dates of our meetings, the ones that we have to attend?
The dates, oh, okay, so if you all go with the every other, it's October 6th and 20th, November 3rd and 17th, and possibly December 8th to go with the 221.
I'll get for Katie.
And I'll attach it
I know
to
you
each
will.
agenda, so this way we have it.
Because you have the workshops.
Oh, yeah, not really workshops. So in October, we have 2 of these meetings, and then the 23rd and the 24th for town hall meetings.
Could you repeat that again, please?
So October, this meeting will be on the 6th and the 10th, and then we'll have the town hall meetings, this is the resident meetings. Those are going to be on the 23rd and 24th.
Not the 6th and the 10th, the 6th and the 20th, I believe.
Okay.
10, 6,
You
10,
have
20,
here 24 to
11,
29, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Those
Now,
are the community
Right.
halls.
Yeah.
because we bopped some dates back and forth.
Are you looking for the community workshops or the committee meetings?
Workshops.
well,
We're the committee, the workshops are separate.
town halls are set. They're set for the 29th, the 24th, the 29th of October, and to be determined at the counselor's house. And
You guys have a long drive.
We'll bring snacks.
Jacksonville Beach, right? And according to my colleague over here, who wrote them down, our meetings will be 10-6, 10-20, 11-3, 11-17, and 12-8, which can be changed. Right now, yeah.
That's what I suggested, yes.
Once in a while, I pay attention.
Even the blind squirrel finds it out sometimes.
All right, so we've established our committee meeting schedule going forward.
I just need to put a little clarity now, because I know I'm going to be coming back from ICMA, so the 29th. I know we have to move some of them around, so the 23rd is,
So we have September 29th and October 23rd and 24th.
Those are town halls.
yes.
That's not what this says on our screen.
Yeah, on the screen just says October 24th and October 29th, and then makes no mention of October 23rd.
Yeah, which one is Jimmy's?
Right.
I believe the confusion was October 29th. I believe we have that set for October 23rd, but we can review I'm happy to review the town hall meeting schedule with Ms. Dumont and update the full schedule to provide to you all. I'm happy to do that before the next meeting so that you all have a clear schedule of the town halls and the meeting dates that you set tonight.
Okay, would you include the locations of the town hall?
course,
That's
absolutely.
that's what I was just going to bring up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is your change in date is because of venue, right?
It is. We've been trying to balance locations, make sure that we're doing our best to meet across various districts in the city to be closer to residents.
So the 29th town hall is not occurring in September?
The September 29th is, October 29th is not currently on my schedule.
All right, so we're gonna move on to public comment. Any final public comments on our?
I was complimenting you, Chairman, that you didn't forget public comment.
It's right here on the list.
I'm still a little confused about the procedure. I understand that next Monday is going to be a town hall that is going to be,
The Southern Community Center,
I'm sorry.
the Southern Community Center on Belterre.
Yes, but it's going to be overseen by
Dr.
the
Dumas.
moderator.
Yes.
And if you guys are going to come, you're coming as observers. I'd like to understand, the council nominated and appointed the 5 gentlemen, but there's also 5 females that are your
Alternates.
alternates. And what is their role right now?
Mine is not a female.
The city attorney noted at the last meeting that the alternates are going to be alternates, and they'll only be seated if the person with whom they are the alternate of is unable to fulfill the term, to finish up the charter review. So whomever the alternate, Mr. Martin can't do it. He gets called back to Washington for something. He's like, sorry guys, gotta go. Whomever Mr. Martin's alternate is would then take his place.
I understand, but is it an opportunity for the alternates to meet directly with each of the gentlemen so that they can be kept up on what's going on? Or do they just come to this meeting to observe?
You have access to all the same information that they have and what I have. It's all public record.
Public record, and you're a citizen. You can talk to anybody
Yes.
about anything on the committee.
At any point in time. Where the town hall's going to be voice recorded,
I don't believe there's typically any recording for town halls, but I will be there to assist with record keeping and note keeping of attendance and the notes, comments that we receive.
excellent, thank you.
Can I ask one question? What happens if one of us can't attend a meeting? Is it then a 4-member board?
No, go ahead.
According to the city attorney, yes, and it's done differently in different cities. And it was, for here, it would just go with the 4 and the alternate would not be sitting in that seat.
Yeah, we just have to have a quorum to have a meeting.
Yes.
Mark Stansel. Earlier, I left you all a copy of the Foreman Beach city charter, because you might go through it, find something that might pertain to us, particularly vacancy filling. It's different than ours, and it's a little more clear cut. Now,
Thank you, Mr. Spence. I didn't know where that came from.
yeah, I thought it might be helpful.
Yes, sir.
Because it looks like a pretty nice city charter. Since I've been here, I was appointed by the city council as the CAC, representing us with the River Sea Transportation Planning Organization. We have an alternate. I'm not there, the alternate fills my seat, which has happened. I also have served on the Code Enforcement Board. We have alternates, so that we make sure we have a quorum. If a couple of people are out just for that meeting, the alternates fill in, so we have a quorum to take care of the cases. I'm currently on the Planning Development Board. So, we have alternates. When someone is out, they fill in, so we have a quorum. Alternates are selected in case, like, say, Mr. Vetrano and Mr. Miller are out sick one day. The alternates fill in, so you have a quorum, so you can continue business. I don't know where Mr. Duffy's been, but this way the city of Palm Coast has always operated. You need to think about the importance of alternates. It's not whether you die and can't come anymore. It's if you're out sick, your spot is filled. That's what alternates are for, and that's why the city council had alternates appointed, not what Mr. Duffy said.
Thank you, Mr. Council. I guess I'm going to just address that and say that I think we should operate the way we're operating on advice of what our direction was from Mr. Duffy, and I would welcome you to go to the next city council meeting, and if you want to appeal to the city council and they want to change our operating procedures, they're welcome to do, they can do that. And it will change.
I'll do that.
Sure.
I do also want to thank you for giving us this charter, and just to let you know that I have personally reviewed the charters of the cities of Doral, Lauderhill, Lakeland, Pompano Beach, Hollywood, and Pembroke Pines, and Cape Coral. So I try to do a pretty diverse group of cities that either were comparable in population or were comparable in budget. So, but thank you for the ornament.
On the right side of it, I like what you just said, and maybe we should, or we could, look into having alternates for the city council members too.
Alternates?
All right, anyone else with public comment? Yes, Mr.
Mark Webb, Palm Coast. I'd like to make a suggestion. The City Connect system, their online system, has a survey program built into it that the city could easily construct some query questions about the charter and can send it out like we've done before. We do a 2-year charter or a survey, which they capture a lot of data from parks and recs and roads, and they use it a lot. It's very robust. And that could be a good source of information that the city residents could apply to what their thoughts are with the city. That wouldn't be as messy as Facebook. It would give them a chance to communicate, and it would give you data that the city administrative staff could go through and break down and give you numbers like 25% feel that this is an issue, or 10% or whatever. I've used it before, been involved with it, and it's an awesome tool to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Anybody else? All right, seeing no one else, I'll close public comment and bring it back for any discussion with members for anything that's not on the agenda here this evening. Yeah, great. Okay. So, and we don't have the city attorney, so we'll pass that part of the agenda. So,
in his place, maybe she has something. No?
I like that. So, before we close, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming this evening. And yes, hopefully through outreach and whatever ways we can do this with staff and other just individuals, as Perry said, and our connections and sharing. I remember you said that, Perry. That we can increase attendance. I want to thank Karen Sousa for your expert help from the Supervisor of Elections Office.
An alternate, by the way.
And an alternate, by the way. Again, thank everyone for their participation. I thank committee members for some really good dialogue back and forth and respectfulness. And just lastly, I'm, as I said in the beginning, I try to let the meetings go so they're a little bit more informal. My training, or what I'm used to from the county commission, is when we have workshops, which I consider this more to be than an official business meeting, it needs to be more informal dialogue. So I'm not hard up about being recognized. We're all being very respectful, I believe. And, we don't have exact rules with back and forth, and I think that's okay for this venue. So appreciate everyone's tolerance on that, and participation tonight, and with that, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second.
Thank you, everyone, we're adjourned.
If anybody wants to have my email, I'll be happy to give you a business card.